Hello, everyone. Welcome to Office Hours. I am Jeff Blankenberg, and today I have two guests with me. Scott Searley, who's here more frequently. Love having you here, Scott. And Ryan Lowe. Welcome, guys.
Hello. Thanks.
As we do every week, we have some Office Hours. We chat with people. We help solve some problems, hopefully. And we tell people to go check out the Slack, because that's a thing we seem to do quite often. What's going on with you guys? I have something exciting, and then maybe I'll have you guys share some stuff too while we wait for questions. I am so excited for tonight. Have you guys heard of the Hella Mega Tour?
No.
What the hell? What?
What is this?
The Hella Mega Tour. It's a concert that happens. It's in Columbus tonight, but it's touring all over the country.
That was a catch up.
It's Green Day. It's Weezer. It's Fall Out Boy.
Yes.
It's going to be
Are you going to that?
What's that?
Are you going to it?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And
that is going to be an amazing show.
Too, because not only am I going with my wife and I, but a couple that I've been friends with since high school, but all of our kids are going too. It's going to be awesome.
Wow,
really?
That's going to be great.
Yep.
I cannot even imagine what that's going to be like. What their stage show is like. That's going to be great. That's going to be amazing.
And it's going to be one of those marathon concerts too, because it's three big bands. They're each going to, I've heard based on like Reddit rooms and stuff like that, like they're each going to do an hour and a half. And then there's a half an hour setup teardown between each one. Plus there's an opener, a band called the Interrupters. Wow. So this is going to be like a 6-hour show. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
When does it start?
Really cool. I'm
so it's tonight?
Yeah. The opener starts at 5:30. So I might be home in time to do Alexa and Friends on Thursday. That's my hope. I would
got a lot of sleep last night.
I would imagine it's not going to be an early night for me, for sure.
Bring some Red Bulls.
Yeah. Well, in fact, they don't let you bring anything in. No snacks,
no
bags, no anything. And I'm sure we'll probably take masks too. We're all vaccinated, but still.
That's a good call.
Crazy times. So Weezer, Fall Out Boy, and Green Day. I don't know what order they're going to go, but I will give you guys an update next week for sure. So is anybody doing anything cooler than that tonight?
No? We shouldn't have had you start. No.
Yeah. Sorry. What do you got, Ryan? What are you doing today?
I live in the desert, and we have a big wash in front of our house, which is normally bone dry. And this is a new house. So we just moved in about 6 months ago, and part of our driveway goes through the wash. I didn't think anything of it, but we've had for the last 3 weeks just huge storms. When I mean storms here in the desert, like it absolutely pours, and then that wash turns into a giant river that has completely washed away our driveway. So I'm probably going to be repairing the driveway while you are enjoying an amazing concert. So
yeah, I'm going to pick mine. How about you, Scott? What do you got?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I thought that you couldn't top an awesome 6-hour concert, but I think repairing a driveway sounds really great.
Right? I mean, it's close.
Scott, you want to come over? Like, I could really use the help.
Wish I could. I'm so sorry. Gosh. I am going to. Has anybody played this game called Satisfactory?
No.
Okay, so it is a video game. It's a PC game, and you are the main character who is dropped on a planet to prepare it for colonization, and so you have to go and set up the infrastructure before anybody else gets there. So this is one of those games where like you mine for things to make, and then you make things to mine with, but the graphics are on the level of like Fallout 4 or Skyrim, like kind of that kind of real world-like realism.
And game.com right now. This looks amazing.
It's incredible. I can't stop playing this game. I can't. It's like you build just massive pipe networks to pump oil and stuff, and you build these huge things, and you like move all the roads, and there's like these little tubes that you can fly through, like on the Jetsons.
Oh, yeah.
It's fantastic. I don't like how much I play this game.
I have 2 questions, and then we got to get to Fabio's question because he has some real questions for the reason we're here. It looks like $30 pre-order access, like early access
For Satisfactory?
This gives me the vibes of Fortnite a little bit too.
The movement's like that. You have a lot. It's very fast movement, and it's like you're running around. There is like the most minuscule amount of combat. It's really more along the lines of like total exploration and just building an infrastructure. And that I don't know why, but like my brain loves it. Absolutely, I just zone out for hours just building roads and pipes, and it's like I played SimCity when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So like just endless hours of SimCity. So like this is that, only you're on the ground doing it, and the graphics are not top down and 8-bit. I just dated myself.
Yeah, but I mean, that was some of my favorite part of things like StarCraft and even Warcraft, the original. Like the top down 8-bit stuff was great to me.
Yeah. I actually found myself missing Warcraft Reign of Chaos the other day. I was like, my goodness, I wonder if I could find an emulator or something. I don't think my Windows XP computer works anymore. Although that thing was a tank. I got a Dell in like 2001.
Oh yeah,
and it was, or 2002, I think, and it was, and it's just a tank. I fired it up like 8 years later, and it still worked just fine. But yeah.
All right. This is awesome. I have a game now that I'm gonna give a try. I learned that driving wash away.
Hi, Jeff.
This was good. I'm glad we started here. So Fabio wants to know, I want to build a skill for a company like Coca-Cola. Of course, I need authorization, but how can I send this authorization to Alexa? I guess the question here, and this is probably for you, Scott, how does someone demonstrate that they have permission to use a copyright when they themselves are not the copyright holder?
So this is a really great question for our policy team. We have 2 awesome people that work with our policy team directly on my team, which is Developer Advocacy Group. And so what you'll do is you'll just fill out a contact us case, just like you normally would. Make sure that you're mentioning, hey, like break down what you want to do, which is, I want to use an advertise or a logo for somebody, and I want to know how to do that. It will get routed to the right people, and they will advise you on how to do that.
Got it.
Policy stuff is always a little bit sensitive, so I'm not going to be able to give you any kind of advice right now. I'm not personally someone who is authorized to do that. So, but we do have 2 people on our team that at all times that can absolutely answer that question, just like normal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But so in your experience, and you may be speculating just as I am, it seems to me like if there was an official letter or something that said let's say Coca-Cola hired me to build a skill for them. I am a third-party contractor. I'm setting up a thing for them. I would need some evidence from them, I would guess, whether that's a letter or something else that basically says, yes, they have permission to publish on my behalf.
Yeah, it's so like the best one that I can think of is like music. If you want to open a radio station skill and you want to play music, then you need to be able to provide proof that you've purchased the license so that you're able to actually do that. When you have anything like this, anything like where trademark stuff comes into play, you're always going to need to provide the proof of ownership of it. Either like, this is my song, this is my band, here's my picture, whatever, here's my thing, or I think a lot of the times, I'm trying to remember with IP stuff, there's like a letter that you get. There's an actual letter that of owner of permission to use the logo.
Okay.
It's always drawn up from whoever's legal department. So it is that simple, really. All we really have to do is just pass one thing back and forth and be like, yeah, okay, great, let's help. Let's do the thing. But the policy people, each case is going to be different. Like if you're using a Coke logo or something like that, or versus like a song, there's different types of policies with stuff like that. There's like different for medias and different kinds of other stuff. So just write right into the policy department and we'll get you taken care of, no problem.
Cool. So that contact us form comes in pretty handy there.
Yes, it really does.
Awesome. Okay, this is a fun question. So Bernie on Facebook wants to know, can you come up with a set of questions that would make Alexa crash like Captain Kirk did. I'm guessing that I haven't seen this episode, but now I'm going to have to go find it. There must be an episode of Star Trek where Captain Kirk talks to the Star Trek computer and gets it to crash based on certain inquiries. I would guess like dividing by 0 or something like that.
Yeah, this sounds like a paradox question.
Are you guys aware of any questions? I know that there are some situations where if you get Alexa to say like 70 A's in a row, like she'll really stumble on stuff like that. But that's something you almost have to type into the simulator. It's really hard to do with your voice. Are you guys aware of anything that like gets a weird behavior out of Alexa that's not just like an error in your code or anything?
Yeah, my skills have a lot of those errors, but I don't think that's what they're asking about.
Right.
Yeah. No.
My kids have done an amazing job of trying to stump Alexa, and we haven't discovered any question or utterance that will lead to like an error state or a crash. We get weird answers sometimes that are funny, but that's about it.
The microphone shutting off after 6 or 8 seconds is kind of limits what you can do. You have to get it all into that one little period of speech. Otherwise you can't get her to do it. So that's rough, because I've seen what people do to Siri, poor innocent Siri, and it's not as easy because the mic shuts off. So yeah. I don't know. I've never had a series of questions that like made her start spitting sparks and smoking.
Searched for a couple. Alexa, what is 10 to the power of 100?
Italian.
Alexa, what is 10 to the 100th power?
10 to the power of 100 is 1 times 10 to the 100th power.
That's not what I wanted.
That's very informative.
Alexa, give me 100 digits of pi.
The first 101 digits of pi, that is, pi to 100 decimal places.
No. Yeah, she showed it on your screen because you did it with a screen.
Yeah.
Go on. I want you to say it. Anyway, I won't worry about that. But I believe that there are some of those kinds of things. But Bernie, I don't know off the top of my head any very specific things that will make her crash. But I do know that we have an entire personality team that is entirely focused on those kinds of clever, fun, surprising interactions. And so there's lots and lots of great lists online of questions you can ask Alexa that have kind of unique or funny answers that people have discovered on their own and kind of added to a list. So you might check those things out too. Mark Ramretten on YouTube said, I'm trying to connect with my customers on my Alexa skill. What's the best way to connect? How do I integrate an email list with users who interact with my skill, asking them for satisfaction, improvements, etc.? Anybody have any thoughts on that?
That's a tough one. The reason why is because generally speaking, any kind of time where you are recording your user's data is usually frowned upon. There's a huge privacy concern. Again, this is a policy thing. Right. So you might need to write in and get a quote from our policy team. It's actually probably a good idea. Just go ahead and do the contact us and ask our policy team. But when you're recording other people's data in any way, in any form, like what your favorite colors are, it doesn't matter. You're gonna bump into some roadblocks because a lot of people have perfectly fine, like you just want to ask your customers, hey, how can we help? How can we, or how can we do a better job? And it's perfectly, innocent, but there are a lot out there that wouldn't. So when you're going up again, when you're trying to record any kind of customer data, you're going to run into some roadblocks. And I imagine that there probably is a way around it. There's probably a roadmap, but you'll need to talk to policy first.
Yeah, for sure. And another way to interpret this question, though, is I think when I first read this, anyway, Scott, I was thinking he was asking about something like account linking. Like I already have this database of customers, and I want to know how to best interact with them in the skill so that I know who they are, and I already have a relationship with them. In that case, Mark, I think the answer you might be looking for is account linking. Keeping in mind what Scott said, though, you want to be careful about how you're collecting and treating your customers' data. But if you want to know who a user is in your skill and how that relates to a customer that's already in your database someplace else, you're looking for the word account linking, and you just search Alexa account linking. You'll find a whole tutorial on how to do that. It uses some simple OAuth mechanisms, but that's the core of the answer maybe that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, once you know who they are, then you can say things like, how did you feel about the skill, or what would you rate it, or whatever. That stuff is fine.
But even then, so my background is digital marketing and email lists and things like that. So you definitely don't want to start collecting emails unless people are opting in. A double opt-in to a newsletter is the preferred way of doing this. The last thing you want to do is start sending emails to people who didn't expect to be getting emails and then mark them as spam, which makes you have no ability to send transactional emails like receipts and other emails later. So definitely when you're putting together an email list like this, make sure it's very clear that they're opting in. But also, I don't think there's any problem with just advertising like a contact us page to say, hey, if you have feedback, I'd love to hear it. Send it to me, instead of doing individual call outs. I think you can broadcast that a lot easier and get feedback directly. It's not as personal. It's not as, you don't have that personal invitation, but people really respect the privacy. And I certainly wouldn't want to get an email from a skill that I had no idea was able to get my email address and now is asking me questions. So people are really protective about that.
Agreed. And that's why we have things like permissions set up to allow users to protect that information, right? So in order for a skill to directly get your email address, you as the user have to grant permissions to access that data. And if you're doing account linking, then the user had to choose to link their account in each case. So we're very, very conscious of that. And that oftentimes puts barriers in the way to doing some of the cool, interesting things we may want to do. But it's you're asking for it at the expense of a customer's privacy. And that's a tough hurdle to get over. All right, LJ asked, how can I read the SDK for a full understanding? Just a question while doing it. I think what he's saying is there a place that I can see the whole SDK so that instead of asking a question, I could just go read it? I think that's what LJ is asking. And the answer to that is the full Node and Python SDKs are available on our GitHub at github.com/Alexa. And you should be able to find both of them there. You should be able to read through all of the source code. All of that stuff is available. In fact, I have seen a couple of pull requests accepted too. So if you see something that you want to add to it, or that you think could be improved, or even if you're just adding a comment to make something more clear, I would recommend doing that as well. I believe that those have both been open sourced, and so we are welcoming your contributions. But I am not the team that owns that, so I don't want to directly speak for them. I don't know what their capacity is for handling that kind of input, but I know that is something we've done in the past for sure. So LJ, I don't know if that answers your question, but I hope it does. If not, please clarify, and I'll answer it again. Tamer Karatekin wants to know about the Slack channel, and they want to know if it's an official Alexa dev channel or if it's our own. They weren't sure which one to join. So I've put the link to the Slack here on the screen. It's alexa.design/Slack. And that gets you an invitation directly in. We do consider it an official developer channel, but I do hesitate to use the word support. There's an amazing community of developers there, and they do support each other very, very well. I am there, Ryan's there. I think I've even seen Scott in there from time to time, but it is not an official support channel. So if you're looking for our developer advocacy group, if you're looking for a lot of the other traditional support things, go through those traditional channels like the Contact Us forum. But that being said, there is a lot of people and a lot of knowledge there in that Slack, and it's amazing the answers you can get to your questions in minutes rather than waiting standard 48-hour, 72-hour kind of turnaround. So you may look at doing both, but I think you'll find that the Slack community is vibrant and welcoming and supportive, and I hope you have an opportunity to join. It's one of my favorite things of the day is to spend a little time in there talking with people. Okay, David Starnes has a question for the developer advocacy group from LinkedIn. I'm in remote patient management. I'd like to build skills for patients and provider alerts. My personal email is this. I won't read that aloud. How do I get in contact with the developer advocacy group? I'm guessing because he has some concerns about patient privacy data and alerts, stuff like that. I know the answer, but I feel like I'll let our developer advocate talk. And what do you think, Scott?
So just go to when you go to the skill Alexa skill kit, anywhere from inside your developer console. If you go down and just find the contact us button, that's us. So you can reach us through there. For a medical skill, you'll be probably speaking to either Tia or Annette, but this is going to be buckle up because it's a medical skill. So it might take a little while. Kind of keep that in mind. Medical stuff is always really, really very closely watched, like very finely tuned. But yeah, just reach out through the contact us, kind of go through what you're thinking about doing. And we will be able to send you any kind of references or resources or connect you to any other teams that you may need to talk to, and get you all set up.
Perfect. I've also put it on the screen. You can go to alexa.design/contact us. It will take you there, but you do have to log into your developer console to get there. So if you're not already logged in, it won't take you directly to the form. It'll take you to a login screen. You log in with your account, and then it'll take you directly to the contact us form. But that is a little shortcut for you if you're ever looking for it. All right. Let's see. Good morning, guys. I love the idea of these office hours. Question, can deferred response events be used for custom skills? As in, I'm not going to use the interfaces that are defined in the SDK. If not, do we have an alternative to making Alexa wait more than 8 seconds? We're trying to integrate Alexa with our ecosystem, but have scenarios where this service might take more than 8 seconds. So I have good and bad news. I saw Scott shake his head. The good news is we just released something at Alexa Live in late July that will allow you to extend that timeout, but it's not a custom extension. It allows you to say, instead of 5 seconds, I want 10 seconds. That's it. That is the extent of your customization at this point. So if that is not what you're looking for, the best alternatives that I've seen to this are to play some kind of thinking music that kind of plays in the background. And then when either your thinking music has played out or the developer interrupts that music with the wake word, they can respond and continue on inside your skill. The catch with this is a lot of people try to play silence. They want it to pretend as if the microphone is off and everything is closed, but you have to play some sound. So it's either like a ticking clock or something, but there has to be a sound that happens at a regular frequency if you're going to play waiting music of any kind. So just a tip for you there. But beyond that, there is no deferred response. The only other option I can really see for something like this is using skill resumption, which is still in developer preview. You can go search for Alexa skill resumption and get into the developer preview form. But the idea here is that you could, I'll use Uber as an example. This is a good illustration for most people because they understand Uber. I ask Uber to find me a car. It says, okay, I'm going to go find you a driver. And it closes the skill. So it's gone away. And then I can either ask the skill later, like, hey, do I have a car yet? And it can pop back up and let me know. Or more likely what happens is it comes back to me when it has an answer and says, oh, you know what? You have a car now. Steve will be there in 6 minutes. And so it's basically responding without you prompting it again based on what you did previously. So it looks a little bit like skill backgrounding or like an app backgrounding that you might see on your phone. But it's all it's really doing is just kind of hibernating stuff, waiting for a signal to come from your server and then firing the skill back up. So those are the two options I think that you really have. If you want to be more specific about what your scenario is, maybe we can help you find another workaround, but that's what I see so far. Matthew Harmon says, Alexa knows how much wood a woodchuck can chuck. That's pretty cool. I did not know that. I wonder how much it is. Alexa, how much wood can a woodchuck chuck?
A woodchuck would chuck about 700 pounds of wood on a good day with the wind at his back.
All right, 700 pounds is a lot.
That is a lot of wood.
Yeah.
That's okay. We're gonna have a discussion tonight later on.
Yeah. A Witters on Twitter, on Twitch, sorry, said, I have a factorial skill which reads out the full numeric result of large factorials. She starts slowing down the voice like slurred speech for really long results. Let's try that. Alexa, what is 421 factorial?
421 factorial is a 924-digit number beginning with 4967. Did that answer your question?
I think our team has gotten smart about working around those specific scenarios where otherwise she would just go on and on and on, and like it does get a little slurry and weird. Instead, they just say, "Oh, here's the first 4 digits." Now, again, I am working with a device on a screen, and I have all of these devices here. I have like lots and lots of devices here behind me. In fact, if I do this just for 1 second, guys, you can see like I've got a whole shelf's worth. I've even got a couple over here.
Got everything all wired up.
Yeah, none of them are plugged in yet because I just put these shelves up, and I have these awesome little rubber grommets that go into the desk, but I haven't drilled any of the holes yet because it makes a ton of sawdust, and I haven't found a good time to like go through all that, get all the sawdust out of here, keep it all clean, and still have this be a working studio. So that will happen soon. I just haven't done it yet. So I don't have a voice only device I can use right now. All right, on YouTube, Oswit says, can we save notifications in skill so that we can use data sent in notifications to an Alexa skill or read the notification again on demand? Yes, but not in the way you think. What you're asking is, can I treat the notification repository as a data source? And no, you can't do that. But if you were sending a notification to the skill, you sent it from a place that you had data or some notification or some information. And so in your skill, you should be able to reach back out to whatever that data source is and do it again. But the notifications themselves are not accessible from your skill. But you should know what you sent them, so they should be able to say, what did you send me earlier today? And if they're in your skill, you should be able to tell them that again. But it wouldn't be as a result of the notifications. It'd be a result of the data that you are keeping and tracking about the notifications you sent.
You have to build your own repository.
Yeah. Do you know, this is from LinkedIn, do you know the reason Alexa is not in Israel yet? I do use it here, but I'm looking forward to using more features. I do know the reason why we're not in Israel yet. It's because they haven't released it in Israel yet. But I don't know why. I don't know why they haven't released it in Israel yet. But I will tell you that there are a great number of countries and languages that are not supported yet. And generally that is because they don't feel that they've gotten it to a point where it's good enough. One of the biggest requests I get all the time is for the Russian language. There's a large number of people around the world that speak Russian, and they would love to be able to use their device in Russian, but that is not a language we support yet.
Not an easy language.
Yeah.
Russian's one of the hardest languages. Everybody says English is. It's not. It's Russian. Russian's.
Yeah, I mean, English has a lot of nuance to it, but it's so well known and so well researched that I think it's easier to solve. We don't have nearly the kinds of data around Russian that we do around English. I agree with you. Yeah, that's a good point. So no, I don't. I wish I had a good answer for you, and I will let you know that even when we do know when these things are coming out, that's not something that we can share here. We will wait for an official announcement that comes from the Alexa team directly, and at that point, I'll be very happy to talk about, hey, we're available in Israel now, or it now speaks this language, or whatever. But none of those things are true yet. Right. Oswet says on YouTube, how can we get to use the send a phone feature? Is it available for all locales? I believe the send a phone feature is only available for English US because that's what we do with brand new features. Send a phone was made available at Alexa Live as well. If you want to try to use it, you will need an English US account. And there is, Ryan, I don't know if you can track this down, but there should be a link somewhere, probably in that launch blog post, to the developer preview form that you can fill out to get access to Send a Phone.
Yes, I will. I'll send it to you.
That's your best bet, is to try to fill out that form and get access. But I don't believe it's publicly accessible yet. It's not GA.
I put it in the private chat for you.
Copy link address. Drop that in the chat. So this is the form for the Alexa for Apps Send a Phone functionality. I just posted that to all of the places. So even though the question came from YouTube, I just posted it to everyone. Okay, as it also says, last question, how can we use the metrics API? And is it possible to get customer engagement data with notifications using API so that we know that a user read the notification? I don't believe that there are any metrics around the user hearing the notifications that I'm aware of. I'm not deeply knowledgeable about the nuances of our of our metrics API, but I don't believe that you get that kind of granularity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think.
I know a little bit about it. That's not, so a lot of times people will say, Alexa, read my notifications, and then walk out of the room because they already know what the notification is going to be. If something delivered, they already picked it up. So, you know what I mean? Like, so it's difficult to know unless you're starting to listen to things that we don't want to listen to. Right. So that, to know who's where and what in honestly, this really kind of ties back to the ambient computer thing we were talking about a few weeks ago. Is that this is exactly the kind of thing that ambient computer does. Ambient computation. What it does is like you ask for your notifications and you walk throughout the house and it's reading it to you wherever you are. That's kind of neat. We don't have that yet. Please invent it.
Yes, please.
Come work for us.
So this is good, though. We're getting a lot of questions about some of the new features that came out of Alexa Live, which is exciting. I want to see people diving into those. There's another one right here from Kevin Evans on Twitch. He said, Alexa has great pronunciation with medical terminology and medication names. If I think something needs to be changed a bit, would SSML phonemes be the way to tweak things? Generally, historically, yes, that would be the answer that I would give you. But Alexa Live had another new feature called custom dictionaries, which allows you to basically provide a whole bunch of pronunciations for words that are not in Alexa's normal dictionary. Medical things certainly come to mind when we talk about that. You also see that a lot in the scientific community when we talk about things like compounds and elements and stuff like that that she may not be familiar with. Also in the food industry, when you think about all of the words that you see, when you look at the ingredients on like really hardcore processed foods, Alexa doesn't always know how to pronounce those very well either. So you can upload your own custom dictionaries for your skill as a way to provide pronunciation for the words that she may not otherwise know how to pronounce correctly. So I would look at that, but those are 3 examples of where you might see custom dictionaries. And I think you can just search Alexa custom dictionary and you should be able to find that pretty quickly. Fabio, calling back to what we talked about earlier, says Slack really works. I've seen Fabio on there. He's asked a bunch of questions and he gets answers quickly. And it's not just like one person like, oh yeah, here's an answer. It's like 5 or 6 people having a good discussion, actively talking about the how and why and where you should go and how you might solve the problem. And in many cases, you even see things like, hey, I see what you're trying to do here. I did that too when I was getting started with skills, but what you actually want to do is think about this way, right? Flip the whole problem you're facing sideways and think about it this way instead, and it'll be much easier for you. So it's a lot of really good experienced advice on top of just like solutions to your problems in Slack. That's so much talking.
You're doing great. Doing great.
Another one from LinkedIn. How come my Alexa identifies a person in the garage cam and the camera itself has a huge delay? Thanks and hi from Israel. How come my Alexa identifies a person in the garage? Oh, okay. So I think I understand the question. He has a device that can do person detection. And then he has something set up like a routine that says, if you see a person, tell me on my device. And that happens almost instantaneously. But when he says, show me the camera, when he sees the camera, it's a significant delay. The biggest answer I can give you for that is latency. Yeah. Sending a message that says, hey, I saw a person is a really tiny message that just gets passed through. But being able to see the live video feed from that camera, it's got to fire that up. It's got to start streaming it across the internet. Like there's a lot that goes on, and it's a ton of data. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, with almost all of these services, I think this will change in the future. But today, your camera isn't streaming directly to your Alexa device. It's streaming to a cloud service where it's being processed and then streaming back to your house. So even though they're 5 feet away from each other, there's still a long round trip that happens there. And Ryan, you probably have some experience with this, I would imagine.
Yeah, so we have the Ring. We have Ring doorbell, and we have the cameras around the house, and we have the exact same thing. It'll notify me immediately when it detects motion or senses something going on, and then I can say, Alexa, show me the front of the house, and it will. But there will be significant delay, like things like I'll hear a dog barking outside, and then it comes through moments later. And yeah, it's because both the camera and the Alexa are kind of stupid devices in that they don't do much processing themselves. So your camera is just taking the video signal and streaming that straight up to the cloud, where it's then getting processed through, some sort of transcoding software to be able to do the detection and everything else. And then that end result then gets saved somewhere else. And then there's another service, I'm sure, that streams it back down to your Alexa. So that takes a considerable amount of processing time in the cloud, but also just the data flying all over the place. I would love it for my Alexa just to show me exactly streaming right from the camera, but we're not there yet. And again, these devices, they're kind of stupid. With as little processing power as they actually have in them, which I think is awesome. I think it's brilliant. So
yes. I mean, the fact that anything on the internet ever works ever is just a remarkable thing. I saw a funny meme, and this is 100% true. The entire internet works only because there's a handshake agreement amongst about 20 people. If any one of those 20 people decides, I don't want this to work anymore, they can just turn it off and it stops working. It's pretty amazing that we can do any of the things that we do. But another thing that he might actually be facing in Israel is that if he's using a camera that's from a small US-based company, it's unlikely that company has servers processing all over the globe. So where you and I may not see a significant latency, going from Israel to Seattle back to Israel is a lot further than Seattle to Phoenix to Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Or wherever their servers happen to be. So that could also be where your huge delay is coming from. Someday it'll be all.
That we're complaining about delays of video feeds when 10 years ago you couldn't, not even that, 5 years ago it took 20 minutes to download a song,
right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, think about I was downloading music over LimeWire on dial-up 20 years ago.
I'm glad you said it first.
You'd be like, man, I can't wait to get this song. I'll go to bed and I'll pick it up in the morning.
Pick up an album. Yeah, you download an entire album and it takes all night.
If I can't listen to that song,
it's all music. It's all music you guys already owned, of course, right?
Of course. Yes.
I had the CD. I just wanted a digital version.
Just for legal purposes, I want to make sure that we.
Yes, of course.
Speaking of cameras and legal purposes, I'm going to try and be very vague about this. But my mother has a friend who discovered after his wife passed that she was a secret hoarder. She had 4 storage units full of stuff that he didn't even know he didn't know the storage units even existed until the bills showed up, and he's like, why am I paying for 4? What are these? And so he went and looked, and it's just piles 15, 20, 30 different sets of dishes, brand new in the boxes. She just liked to spend money, but it was anyway, crazy. So this guy was talking to my mom, and he's like, about selling stuff online. She'd sold a bunch of stuff on Facebook Marketplace and eBay. He's like, I'll give you half the proceeds if you'll just sell all this stuff for me. Because that's a huge task to sell thousands and thousands of items, whatever. He's like, I'll happily just split it with you if you can do all this. And she's like, okay, cool. So she's been doing that for quite a while. And she pretty much just does it on Facebook Marketplace, sells it locally. So people just come to her house and pick it up. But she doesn't want to meet or talk to every single person that's buying things from her. So she has a box on her porch. It's just a little wicker box, and it says place money here. And then she'll leave when they tell them they're coming. She'll just put the item out on the porch, and then they leave the money and they take their item and they walk away. And it's kind of on an honor system, but she hasn't had any issues at all. Well, a couple days ago, on her Ring cam, a delivery person was bringing a package to her home, put the package down on her porch, noticed the box, looked in the box, saw a bunch of cash, took all of it, and left.
Was he getting tipped? Did he think he was getting tipped? Is that what?
It was more money than you would expect a delivery driver to think they were getting tipped.
Ouch.
Okie dokie.
I mean, it wasn't significant. I think it was only $30 or $40, but that's more than you would expect to get as a tip.
Yeah.
Well, she had it on camera, so she reached out to the delivery company. Was like, "Is this is this normal? Is this something that your driver should be taking? And they reimbursed her 2 times the money, and without saying it in all the words, made it sound like maybe that person won't be working for their company much longer. But I mean, that's tough to lose your job over $30 or $40, but it's just a dumb decision, you know?
Yeah.
Especially when, like, you're a delivery person. Certainly you know that there are camera, like, you know what a doorbell camera looks like these days. That's not the port you steal from. I don't know. Just a fun side story about cameras and
keeping that in mind. I'll make sure to keep that in mind when next I go and steal things. I mean, I don't steal things. What?
No. I know you're a porch pirate. It's all right. Ooh, it just scrolled on me. 1 second. I want to integrate Alexa with our own Python chatbot. Does Alexa discourage it? I don't see any exact tutorials on this. There's a few GPT-3 to Alexa tutorials. There isn't generally a way to use Alexa in a way that is outside of the standard ways that you select. So you can't integrate Alexa into your own chatbot. You can integrate all of our AWS services that make up Alexa, right? Lex and Polly and all that. You can use all of those things. But as far as actually using Alexa, you don't capture enough information or data from a user when they speak to a device to then also effectively run a chatbot, because you don't get all the words. All you get is an indication of intent or maybe one slot value or something. So it's not that we're discouraging it. I'm very curious to know how you would even do it. But I have played with GPT-3 and Alexa, and that's different. Now I'm doing some things that are very specific. And the way that I'm doing those is using like the search query slot to capture a few words purposely, and then going and doing some queries to bring some data back. But there wouldn't be a way to build a custom chatbot through Alexa without just building an Alexa skill, because you don't have the granularity, the data you would need to really do that.
Yeah, to me, like Alexa already is a beefed up chatbot. Yeah. And so prior to Alexa, I spent a lot of time in AWS, and AWS has a service called Lex, which is very similar to some of the bare bones of Alexa. And using that, you can build a chatbot. But I feel like you wouldn't be too successful building another chatbot that extends Alexa, because like Jeff just mentioned, you're losing a lot of the inputs and data that would go into the actual chatbot.
Agreed.
Didn't we have this as like a thing that we would allow people to do so that we could gain more better understanding of the natural language? Didn't we have like a chatbot skill or something? Am I going bananas?
Well, kind of. So there's if you say let's chat to your device,
that's what I'm thinking.
We have an entire Alexa Prize project where you'll be connected with a chatbot that is doing all of that stuff. But those are university projects.
Right. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those are different, but that's not something that the general public can do, unfortunately. There are a hand-selected team of university researchers that are working on those things. Their goal is to build a 10-minute conversation bot that can hold a conversation about anything. So it's not like it just knows one topic. Like you should be able to talk to it and say, "Hey, tell me about the president. What's going on with them?" And it should be like you and I just having a conversation about anything. That's what they're going for. But it's something like $1 million prize we have if somebody can do a 10-minute conversation bot. And no one's been successful yet. I think the best they've done is like 4 or 5 minutes. All right, so let's see. Matthew Harmon, I feel like this question got asked a week or two ago also. Are there any plans for Go with Alexa? I'm not aware of any plans or any support for the Go language. But that being said, as long as your skill can consume and produce JSON documents, you can write an Alexa skill in any language you'd like, on any server you'd like. So that's something to be said. I think there's more work, but I don't think you're going to see an SDK for Go in the near future. So I hope that answers your question.
But if the community wanted to build one, that would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, we actually don't officially support C# either, but there's a fantastic team of people over at Microsoft, actually, led by a friend of mine named Tim Hewer, that has created a C# SDK or Alexa, and they keep that up to date and modern. So it's if you like C#, if you like .NET, that's the one I would check out for sure. Kareem Romero on Facebook says, I have an Echo in each room, and I would like to know if I can program something so I can turn off the TV in the room of the Alexa that is listening. For example, I have the command turn off TV. If I'm in my master bedroom, turns off that TV. If I'm in the living room and I say that same command, Fire Cube will turn off the TV. How can I differentiate from which Echo I receive the command and thus execute according to this context? Do you guys know the answer to this question? Because I need the answer for myself.
Yeah. This is something that I worked out myself because I am that kind of nerd. I needed to be able to go to every device in every room and say a thing and have it work. And I can't sleep until it does. You rename each device. That's bottom line. That is the quickest and easiest way to do it. And name it something that you would remember. For me, when you're talking about, when I say turn off the TV, for me in my brain, I register the downstairs living room TV as the TV. So when you say turn the TV off or turn off the TV, it's going to go to the, because that's my kind of like my knee jerk one that I'm thinking about. But if I say bedroom TV or I say my TV or I turn, I turn off Scott's TV, then that's different. You just basically have to rename all of your devices, set them all up onto your network to make sure your network is seeing everything via whatever system you want to use. You can use ours, or I think Samsung Smart Things actually works pretty well with Alexa. I can't remember if they do or not. They might be fighting because of Bixby. But yeah, just rename everything. Name everything that every Echo device. Also, you may have more success is if you use a different wake word on Echoes that are closer to each other than the other ones are. So if you have one in the bathroom and one in the bedroom and they're right next to each other, name one Alexa and the other one Echo, or name one computer and the other one Echo, so that you can just say Echo, turn off my TV, and it'll pop up right there, and your bathroom one won't even turn on. I found that out when I lived in an apartment for a short time before we built the house. But yeah, name everything. Make sure your network is all set up. Go through your routines. Make sure all of your routines are all up to date, and you're good to go. That's how you do it.
Okay. So you're hacking the human.
Yep.
I thought I solved this a different way, and now I'm wondering if I actually tricked myself into thinking I solved this. So I have lights everywhere, and what I did is I used groups inside of the Alexa app. Mm-hmm. And so then I have my den where I am now. And if I walk in here, because my Alexa is in the same group as all my lights, and I say turn on the lights, it turns all these lights on, but only these lights on. And if I go into another room where I have a different group set up and say generically turn on the lights, and it works with plugs too. So I was wondering, I haven't tested this outside of just my little world. I have a test of one, so I just assumed it worked. I haven't verified it. But if you had different groups for different rooms and you paired that Alexa with the TV, yeah.
Right. This is something else that I feel like I've played with, because there are some conditional things that you can put in there. Like, I only want this routine to work if I talk to this device. Mm-hmm. And I think, because I can set it up with that routine, then I could say, well, for this device, when I say turn off the TV, I mean this TV. And when I say turn off the TV in this room to this device, what I mean is turn off that TV.
Yeah, I didn't even have to do that. Now I want to try this. Using just the groups.
I set this up like 2 years ago.
Right.
So it definitely changed by then.
It takes some work to set up all your routines, and I feel like I don't ever give myself the time to go back and like revisit them. So I just live with how they are now. Yeah. Even though I probably
this wasn't even a routine. I just set it up, just going to the Alexa app and setting up a group, and I put all my lights in there. So I have no light called lights. Like I just say turn on the lights, and it knows.
But so you're talking when you say turn on the lights, though, you're turning on all the lights, not just one room's lights.
No. Only in the den. It only turns on the lights. But if I go into another room and say turn on the lights, it doesn't turn on these lights.
Oh, interesting.
But you have smart plugs, though, right?
I have smart plugs and like these nano leafs, but I have these all in the same group as my Echo that's in here.
So I think you got it right. I think that because you made a group, but also I think the smart lights, because of the IoT stuff, I think the IoT is recognizing them as lights, or like the IoT side of Alexa is recognizing them as lights.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool. I mean,
I do have a couple plugs, but I reclassified them as lights so that it would fit and they all turn on.
That's cool. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah, I didn't have to build a routine or anything. It was super easy.
I'm gonna have
Everybody do what Ryan said.
Barely an inconvenience. Which is today's shirt, by the way. Super easy, barely an inconvenience.
That is a good one. You wore that at that conference.
I did wear that at that conference.
It's a good one. All right, a couple more questions. Let's see. Is it possible to force Alexa to process something locally instead of sending it to the cloud? No. You guys, as Ryan said earlier, most of the smart devices in your house are pretty dumb. And they can do the thing they do really well, but that's it. There is not any kind of advanced processing anything available on Alexa devices. Yeah, in many cases, I'm blown away that we can even do simple things like animations in APL, because the processing power required to do that seems like it's beyond what the processor on those devices should be capable of. But it does it, and we optimize for it, so I guess that's good. But in general, no, I would not expect today's generation of Alexa devices to be able to do a lot of anything, local process anything. We're getting back to the reference about like running video directly to an Alexa device with a screen. I just don't know how that would necessarily work. The devices would have to be able to talk to each other, which they don't currently do. And there'd have to be some kind of like collaborative API that allows all of those things to like identify, find, and communicate with each other. And that doesn't really exist today. I would guess that's probably the next generation of routers, or next generation of like smart home hubs that allows them to all translate to each other. But as of today, no, I don't think that's a very doable thing, unfortunately.
Well, it would make all the devices much, much more expensive too. Yeah,
exactly.
So
the reason smart home devices are cheap is because they're dumb. And if the smarter they get, the more expensive they get. Let's see.
That's why I paid $1,000 for a cell phone.
Right.
They are pretty smart, though. Cell phones are pretty capable.
Yeah, but $1,000.
I know.
It's like an actual laptop. You can buy a laptop, a good one.
Yeah.
For $1,000.
Let's see. Sujith on YouTube wants to know where they should start to build Alexa skills. I actually have a URL for that, I think.
I have
here on the screen. But alexa.design/start is a good place to start. So let me do this quickly. Like that. And that will take you to kind of our intro tutorials and information about building Alexa skills. Another thing I would recommend is look into Alexa Cake Time. It's a really solid starting tutorial for you to check out. It walks you through step-by-step all the things you need to know to build an effective Alexa skill. So that would be something else I would recommend.
You just put a link in the chat there for you, Jeff.
I think the Cake Time skill is what kind of jump-started me and all this. And if you go to that page that Jeff just pointed out, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom in the footer, you can see tutorials and code samples. That is a fantastic resource of information. And the build an effective, or build a, what is it? It's not called Cake Time. It's called build.
Like build your first
on there
or something.
Yeah, something like that. But if you do a search for Cake Time tutorial Alexa, you'll absolutely find it. It's a great resource. And then GitHub has tons and tons of sample code. There's a great YouTube series called Zero to Hero, which I actually really, really enjoyed watching. We have a lot of good information out there.
It's good.
Or you can reach out to us anytime. If you want to talk to the developer advocacy group, that's what we're literally here for.
Right.
We will happily help you with any kind of questions about resources or anything that you might need to find or any kind of tech problem you might be bumping up against, within reason, obviously. But but yeah, reach out.
Another question from Israel. Is there any reason we only have a few wake words for Alexa? Let me start by adding that there is a new fifth one, if you guys aren't aware. They recently added the wake word Ziggy, Z-I-G-G-Y. So if you want to give that one a try, that should be available for you. But does anyone else want to take? I mean, I can answer this, but if you guys have any thoughts on why there's only 4 or 5?
To me, it goes back to the devices aren't really that smart. So they're kind of coded to just identify just those 4 or 5 words, and that's about it.
No, I think that's a solid answer. Beyond that, though, it's that let's say you wanted to name your device Steve, which let's say that's a name you want to call your device. The problem with most words is that you end up with a lot of true false positives, where the device will think you're talking to it even though you're not. And so if you look at the selection of words we have, Alexa, Echo, Amazon, Ziggy, and computer.
According to Wikipedia,
Alexa,
Amazon.com is
stop. All of those words have really hard, obvious consonants in them that make it very.
According to Wikipedia, Amazon.com Incorporated is an American
Alexa.
multinational technology company
Alexa.
which focuses on e-commerce,
Alexa,
cloud computing.
stop. I think I got it that time. So those words actually have a lot of unique sounds in them. There's that hard K sound in the Echo, the Z in the Amazon. And so for most words, they just sound too alike. They sound like too many other words. And so you end up, your device will be turning on all the time, which is an optimal experience.
Echo sounds pretty distinctive. Computer is pretty distinctive.
All right. Let's see. I think there was 1 or 2 more questions I saw in here. Michael Klopacki on YouTube wanted to know, he's a back-end full-stack web dev. He's been working in more management positions lately, but he kind of wants to get back into full software engineering, looking for job opportunities building voice apps. So he went to Amazon.jobs, and all he could find really was jobs at Amazon working on Alexa or stuff like that. And he wants to know if we can talk about the market for software engineers in voice, and what does that look like now, and what kind of skills are required. I would love for both of you to chime in on this too, but I'll start. My opinion on this is that there's 2 sides, much like there is with web dev, to building voice skills. There are a lot of very talented conversational designers out there. Lisa Falkson and Allison Atwell are two folks here on my team that I really respect, and they are very knowledgeable. Neither of them are software developers, but they are very knowledgeable about what it takes to build conversational UI. That's a really strong skill. In the same way that if you're a hardcore database back-end person, it's unlikely you feel like you're really good at CSS and HTML. Like you might be able to do it, but you're probably not as good as someone that really focuses on the front end. So that's one half of it, is understanding the construction of conversations. The second half of it, honestly, only because most of our tutorials and SDKs and stuff are available, some working knowledge of JavaScript or Python I think is valuable, but realistically, as long as you're comfortable with JSON, whatever language you're comfortable with should be fine. So that's where I'll leave that. Scott, Brian?
Yeah, there's a huge market for it. The thing is that voice apps are so new. It is really hard to just say, yeah, bring this and make sure you know that. It's really difficult to say who needs what and where. If you want to do voice apps and you are passionate about voice apps, do voice apps. Bottom line is that it's not like it's any different than anything else. You're still using the same languages. You're still using your same stuff. It's just the way you do it. It's the way you snap the pieces together that is the only thing that changes. And there's a huge market for it right now. But it's also like be prepared to build things. That's really the best thing I could probably say is be, especially at Amazon. Amazon is like, if you need it, build it. If you need it, if you want something, go and make it, and then we'll all use it. Great, do it. Good job. You know, like that's kind of how it is. So be prepared to, especially with voice, because it's all again so new. Be prepared to build stuff. That's pretty much the best thing I could say, is that your skills are solid. You're good. Just walk in the door. But you know, it's kind of a mindset. You'll need to go into a field. You're going into a field that is utterly brand new, and we're all still kicking over things and knocking things over with our, you know, just bumping into stuff. It happens all the time. So, you know, it's just it's kind of a free for all at this point. So yeah, rock and roll, man. Come in, join us at Amazon. We need more.
Right, and that's the last thing I will leave us with here. I want to get Ryan's feedback if he has any. But if you want to shape the future of what voice and ambient computing look like, head over to Amazon.jobs. As the person in the comments mentioned, there's lots and lots of opportunities. I'll bet there's 5,000 positions available right now, open roles on the Alexa team itself. So if it's something you're interested in, get in there, apply, check it out, because I'm not kidding. There's a job for everybody. If you're a PM, there's tons of PM jobs. If you are a software developer, great. If you are in AI and machine learning, tons of jobs. And
you don't have to have a coding language.
Right.
You don't have to know how to code. You don't have to be a tech person. You can come and work for us, and you don't have to have, I don't know how to code.
Yeah, my only feedback is now is a great time to get started. Like it's still new. You can jump in and you can start, you know, contributing with what you're bringing to the table and what your background is. But also the community is so welcoming. So like if you are worried that you don't have enough knowledge or you don't have the right background or you didn't study linguistics, like it's fine. Like people are just excited to have new people into the community. Totally. And that to me is awesome.
Yeah, and that's actually a good segue for me, Ryan. If you guys aren't tuning in on Thursdays, we have a show called Alexa and Friends that's here on all of these channels. And I interview people from across the industry, and you would be amazed. One of the first things I always talk to them about is what is their educational and career history. The number of people that have come from places that aren't what you would expect. They didn't go to school studying linguistics or even AI, machine learning, any of that stuff, but are now some of the thought leaders in that industry is remarkable. So if you're looking for a little encouragement, a little inspiration, check those out. They're at the same time as office hours, but they're on Thursdays. And then before we wrap up here, Ryan, thank you so much. VM on YouTube was asking if this show is live. 100% we are here live. I don't understand your question. It says, how well does the show 10 work with Lex? It doesn't necessarily, but you could build an Alexa skill that also somehow uses Lex for additional chatbot functionality. But realistically, Alexa was built on top of Lex, so they're kind of the same thing in many ways. But yes, we are very much live, and thank you for joining us. We are here every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and we've run just a little bit over today. But it's always a good conversation, always tons of questions, and I'm glad that you guys are all here. So Scott, Ryan, thank you guys so much for being here.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.